Therefore now recent footage coming out of Swiss peasant nationalists with huge folkloristic bells going into the streets, because they know now that they've been betrayed by the masters in their 2000-year symbiosis deal with the devil. And here it says, "We want your resignation, Alain PER-SETH, the health minister." Alain is the surname, is the name of the health minister, PER-SETH. And this footage here, it's in this channel here, and it's from October 23rd, 2021. Here you see the huge cowbells. So, well, hope somebody is waking up now, eh? And these ones here in Zurich, Switzerland, a few days ago, must have seen my videos, as it shows a Templar's cross here. There you go. And right under the word Nazi, like here, as a reference to the Nazi Templars. It says, "Wer mit Nazis marschiert, hat nix kapiert." Nicely rhyming and meaning in English, those who march with the Nazis have understood nothing. You can see it is in Switzerland, as it says here, Polizei, always ever present to lie something together to put you in jail, wherever you go in Octagon. It also shows 3 stars for our masters ruling over us with their concept of 3, which is the side of the hierarchy pyramid, the pyramid of the hierarchy. So it's the same channel, Oli Putnik, on October the 30th, 2021, a couple of days ago. Here's a close-up, so you can see it really is a Templar's cross next to the word Nazis, Nazi Templars. So they must have seen my videos. Yeah, we also initiate people, eh? And here they are. These guys who understood it, or at least the one who made this thing here, a Templar's cross. They didn't put it here just like that. You know, they understand the connection with Nazi Templars and Switzerland. So they just want to say to the Swiss nationalists who are protesting right at this moment at the other side, that, you know, they've done this alliance, the nationalists with the Swiss nationalists with the Nazis. So that's why it's written here, those who march with the Nazis have understood nothing with this Templar's cross altogether. And we even see now the Swiss Gestapo almost completely retracting during the last anti-bug war demonstrations of Swiss nationalists entering the scene. Because the Swiss Gestapo knows now that far too sensitive footage of Swiss police violence and escalations with the nationalists would enter the world stage of the virtual world. That wouldn't be good for the image of Pharaoh's neutral base in the world and its laws of silence. Because the cowardice Swiss Gestapo know very well that an escalation with angry Swiss rednecks who feel betrayed in their symbiosis with the Nazi Templars would get very bloody. Because this new group just recently entering the universe of demonstrators, all have a couple of assault rifles at home. So the coward Swiss Nazi police, who are very good at picking soft targets, as me, my family, and my small defenseless children, or a handful of disillusioned, revolting, defenseless youngsters, wouldn't dare to touch these type of momentarily protesting Swiss hillbillies with their Freiheitstriegler, cowbells, and all the hardware goodies to back up the cowbells with. And this here is the usual picture in Bern, Swaziland. How the easy targets get eliminated. You all see the difference and how differently the Swiss coward Gestapo treat the very armed and organized nationalist Swiss hillbillies. The nationalist Freiheitstriegler protest the usual massive hordes of Swiss Gestapo don't even show up at all. And this is happening now, people, in the very base of Pharaoh. It finally looks that it is all falling apart. Aye, Australians, you see what I mean and what type of hardware backup makes out the difference between ending up in a concentration camp with a syringe hanging from your behind or walk with your head straight up. Look, Australians, here is the Blue Ribbon Foundation with its satanic pentagram in their logo of your local Victoria police gangsters, showing their sponsors and partners and their major partners who are financing the terror on you, on Australians. So here is their logo. This is in the browser, remember.org AU. Here's there, it says Victoria Police in the middle and a crown, of course. Now, here are the sponsors and partners and the major partners. Here's a crown, of course. This symbol, I'm going to show it to you in a minute. I already filmed it at special places of our masters. What do we see here? Look, the square and compass. The Freemasons of Victoria are the major partners of the Victoria Police. So these ones financed these ones, and these ones beat you up or shoot you with a rubber bullet made in America by the Pen Arms. And here are their media partners, 9 News, and these ones here. The program partners, you know, with the Falcon of Hross. The center group, I have no idea what they do. Here it has an oval, like the Oval Office. And look, oh, isn't that lovely? Here we got the cop shop. Oh, look at that. You know, so they can pump, so you can pump more money into their criminal activities, you know. And maybe you can buy one of these hats or something in the cop shop. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Walk around with that. Maybe they wouldn't shoot at you, you know, if you buy one of these hats. You can even contact them and make a donation and be a member. They have a mission. Look at this. They have board members. The honor roll. Well, I've got YouTube. Look at that. They're everywhere. Let's have a look at the YouTube. Oh, look at this. The Victoria Police Blue Ribbon Foundation of the Freemasons. Look at this. Look at their logo, the blue ribbon, blue for the war, yeah? Foundation, and the satanic pentagram. And yeah, oh look, oh, this is that blue ribbon. Did you see that? Yeah, down here. And it has the blue ribbon has the Freemason checkerboard configuration all over it, of course. In the white for the New World Order and blue for the war against humanity. The worldwide blue army financed by the Freemasons. Well, do you need any more evidence? Look, here's the Freemason Lodge of Queensland, probably financing the police of Queensland and giving all the orders to beat you up. The name of the lodge is Carpentaria, like carpenters, you know, and masons. And yeah, well, look, they have over 6 million members worldwide and counting. Only this lodge. Imagine how many police they finance. Look at this. Well, you can count them, you know, and you find yourself a lodge. And why join Freemasonry? Well, why not? Yeah. They have district grant officers, and well, they finance the whole shebang and give the orders. I've proven that to you. So look, the Blue Ribbon Police Association of the Victoria Police, here is the logo. They even have a Blue Ribbon Day on September the 29th. Now, I want you to remember where you were on September the 29th. You were probably in lockdown mode, weren't you? Well, you can see here that these guys, they're having a huge party. Crown Resort, the Freemason Foundation of Victoria here. This is the inverse pyramid, as all people had it in Auschwitz. It's the inverse pyramid of death, rapid media, and here it says Victoria Police. So again, they were having a big party, and you were locked in, eh? Imprisoned in your own four walls. No comment. I'll let you enjoy this in total silence. Look, there it is, the logo of one of the sponsors of the Victoria Police who financed the terrorist police. And I found this is the title here 3 years ago, and I found it at a occult aristocratic site in my same channel here. So I'll go and have a look, and I'll explain you what it means. And here it is again in Wikipedia, the United States Space Force. Oh, you know, they've got a Space Force. What's going on here? What are they hiding? You know, are they at places we don't even know? Look, here it is. Same thing. Yeah, and here as well. Show you the whole picture. There you go. It's got an oval here, and I'll show you in a minute what this means. Here it says 2019. And there you go. So they're guys, you know, having badges, the same ones who are financing the Blue Army in Victoria. Okay. See the relation? Yeah. Maybe you got the Blue Army on the moon, eh? You know, they're buggering the Martians probably, you know. Poor Martians. The Aerospace Defense Command. Yeah. You hardly ever hear from them, eh? That's funny. Space Operations Command. It's like bloody Star Trek, eh? Space Operation Command West. Wow. the Shriver garrison with the Templar V in it and a G of the Freemasons, and that one has a bear like Swaziland. The bear on the moon, did you know that? The same symbol who are financing the Australian police. Hey, that's not a coincidence. Another extraterrestrial. Extraterrestrials marching on the moon. Space Command. Even in their sergeant stripes, they got the symbol on it. Oh. So it seems that they're not from here, the ones ruling over us, eh? And there one. What's that? Russians have it as well. Look at this. Russians have the same symbol. Look at that. Yeah. They're all together, you know? All these, it's one uniformed race ruling over humanity. They're all the same. So here as well. There you go. It's all the same. Here's a world and here's a world. This is octagon here behind it. And actually this is also a part of octagon. I'll show it in a minute. Maybe some of you already see it. Okay, that was it. There you go. There it is. One of these things is the symbol you see everywhere. And this is the cross of the Hospitallers, also called the Maltese cross. And it's the opposite of a Templar's cross. Templar's cross is a red cross on a white underground. Hospitallers, like the Swiss cross, they have a white cross on the red underground. So all the belongings of the Knights Templars went into this white cross red underground organization, and this is why we have the Swiss flag, where all the wealth of the world is. So, you know, there are 4 of these things. Pate, it's called pate. Pat, it means foot, like a duck foot. Resembles a little bit, you know. So this pated cross, one of them is missing. So 3 are left. So this is the concept of 3. And together with the 1, there are 4, being the concept of 4. So as it is all hidden, they don't show 3 and 4. They only show the one that is missing, you know, and they all know it because it's a hidden organization. It's like showing the negative part, like in a photograph. The camera obscura, you know. It's all like reverse speeds and all this. It's the negative image, only showing 1. It's the negative image of the concept of 3 and 4. So only one of the pated 4 wings of the Hospitallers cross. That's one of their secret symbols, which we find in the Space Force. So first they conquered the Earth, and now they're already conquering apparently other planets and buggering the poor aliens, eh? Well, Australians are aliens as well, aren't they? So back to Swaziland and the Swiss health minister. Usually only a handful of left-wingers, rarely demonstrated in Switzerland, who were easily outnumbered by the Swiss Gestapo, beaten down, cameras confiscated, eyes shot out with the Swiss 40mm Brugger und Tommet launcher, as you can see it happen here, and sent to jail for a long time. This is the notorious high-security prison torture detention center in Bern, the Amthaus Bern, where Wolfgang Umvogel, he was murdered because he wanted to sell banking CDs because of the tax evasion going to Switzerland, and they murdered a lot of people in here. And this is the Swiss-made demonstrator murder weapon, the Swiss-made Brugger und Tommet LBD-40 by the Swiss military industrial complex and their Brugger und Tommet military industries. And that has already killed and maimed thousands of young people all over the world. So much about neutral Switzerland. Why don't you do something against this, Mr. Swiss Health Minister PER-SETH from the House of Seth? Look, here he's all 7 heads of the Swiss beast all by himself. But instead of doing what he's supposed to do, PER-SETH here, bold as Pharaoh, is holding a comforting political speech in front of a set of sick dolls, sort of representing the sterile transhumanist future of humanity. Just look how the bold Pharaoh is acting and gesticulating in real-time feature, as if he were in Parliament, fooling the people with his fantastic rhetorics and smooth acting capabilities, which would even get a plastic doll in an ecstatic state. As in ecstatic Swiss peasants and their symbiosis with the masters. And look at the doctor, who's probably French, as the Swiss peasants import all academic personnel in Swaziland out of the obvious reasons. And one can clearly see the doctor thinking, bloody hell, is this guy real or am I dreaming? What's going on here? And look at his charming audience. Look at their arms with the movable plastic parts screwed together and with their arms all lined up the same way. The patient's arms sort of looking like this here. And look at the roundly opened up mouth, accentuating the even more perverted side of it all. Probably bringing his own personal sex doll. And here saying to her, honey, don't worry, I'll take care of it all. Trust me, dear. The same lullaby lines he uses on a daily basis in Swiss Parliament to anesthetize the people with. Also proving they can't even find any real sick people infected with their so-called bug wars. But now things seem to be changing, with far too many people armed with cameras, so-called weaponized cameras, potentially showing the true face of the motherland of all evil, which the sly Swiss Gestapo can only avoid by staying in the background. Truly fascinating times we're in. I love the end times, as I'm not the only one anymore being terrorized by Pharaoh's Swiss Blue Gang. Oh boy, this is great. I'm getting totally high on the end times air. Let's push the tempo, let's rock and roll, and let the end times roll. This is what I was made for. So, back to the Swiss House of the Beast Health Minister of the End Times. The next intel you only find in the French-speaking Wikipedia about Ellen PER-SETH. So let's go down here. Here it says he went to the in 1991 he went to the school of Saint Croix in Fribourg in Swaziland. So I'll punch on it. See, there we go. So PER-SETH also he went to the Holy Cross College for the elite in Fribourg, Switzerland, as he was already predestined to mount the highest political office in the world, becoming one of the 7 heads of the beast of the Alps. So here's that school again for the French-speaking elite, Collège Sainte-Croix, where the Swiss health minister went to. And look, the first one here, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. So this school was attended by noblemen like Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and also here the demotic PER in the name Exupéry, who wrote this book on the Little Prince on some lonely planet. A book about a prince of his nobility, of course, where only the initiated can understand its true meaning. Also, the former King of Spain, Juan Carlos I, and important member of the Order of the Garter, attended this Swiss elite school for the nobility. Here, in 2020, in a huge pharaonic corruption affair, stealing billions of euros from the Spanish slaves and hiding it in Pharaoh's base in Swaziland, where he gathered a lot of very influential personalities while going to that elite school. And the money came, of course, from the Catalan people, which is the most richest part of Spain. And of course, the king, he hates the Catalans because they wanted to be free and be away from his royal kingdom. So why not steal off them, eh? And there he is again, the Spanish former king, in his Order of the Garter costume. And I have no doubt whatsoever that the corruption king got introduced to the Swiss PER-SETH, who helped him stash the nobility's robbery of those damn Catalan slaves. Brothers in crime, as they say. And also going to that Swiss school for the nobility, another French aristocrat, the Count Alexandre de Morange. He came together with this bloke here. I hope you can read it. Oh, there you go. He's in the White House. Look at that. So he was the former head of the French CIA, called the SDECE, from 1970 to 1981. And of course, during the reign of Pharaoh Giscard d'Estaing, about whom I made this video here while visiting his castle this year in 2021. And he was in a corruption affair of the Emperor Bokassa, about which, of course, the Count de Morange and the head of the French Secret Service dealt with. You know, probably like, you know, having a few people like liquidated left and right, you know. That's the nobility. We are being ruled by the nobility. corruption, castles, they're at all key positions. It's Pharaoh, and this is what they look like here. Yeah. And here you can see him together with General Patton here, and here is Alexandre de Marange. Here they left the D away, which they do a lot, so people would never think he's an aristocrat, having a castle, And this is General Juin. And this, of course, must be here the Arc de Triomphe, the thing they wrapped up recently. They all like to pass through it, and then salute and, put this sturdy face on and, pretend they're like men or with their cowboy boots here. And all of these, they're all aristocrats, Nothing has changed, people. And they become, the moment they go into the military, they become a colonel immediately or a major, and you have to obey to them. Look, he also has the octagon here. General Patton. It's also an aristocrat. They all are. They all are people. They're all a bunch of pharaohs. And here's the castle of the Count Alexandre de Marange. Of course, Mar or Mer in his name, Marange, it means a pyramid in the Demotic language, Merange. And it's in the Jura here, which is Lavant, which is right next to the Swiss border, next to the French part, where he went to the same Swiss school for the elite, where Mr. PER-SETH, the Swiss health minister, went to. In another era, of course, but they all know each other. So, I mean, this all means, that Mr. PER-SETH, he's from the nobility, even the high nobility. He was at the school all together with all aristocrats. It's a pharaonic school. And another nobleman who went to the same Swiss school as Mr. PER-SETH went to. His name is the Count Louis de Bonneville de Poignat, another nobleman. And the Bonneville, it means the good life. Of course, having a good life, yeah? And it says the Count of de Bonneville de Poignat, Louis de Bonneville. I'll show you in a minute that he was at the same school. And he was the best friend of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the Little Prince guy. Of course he was. They were together at the same school and had a marvelous time in Swaziland, eh? You remember, 50% live in paradise and the other 50% in hell. A marvelous time it was, you never forgot it, eh? And here, this is interesting, and you have to remember this. He was also in the Villa Saint-Jean. So you remember this. There's a lot of Saint-Jean, there's a lot of Templar commanderies called Saint-Jean. Macron, he was in one in Strasbourg, also called Saint-Jean. And this is a Sikh, he says here, Juan Carlos, he was at it, and here it says Les Marianistes. This is a secret organization for the nobility, for their kids. And of course in Fribourg, and here it says La Sarine, there's the word Sar in it, meaning the king. So around this river, there are a lot of kings, and that's what I'm showing you. They're all kings and aristocrats going to that school there. So before I go on with the list, I have to do this, to give you an idea who Mr. PER-SETH, who he really is. He's not a man of the people, He's the high nobility. So before I go on with the list, I'm going back to that school, and I'll show you all the names again, and that who this Marianiste and Villa Saint-Jean, what it's all about. And then I go on. So here we go back to that school for the French-speaking elite, where the Swiss health minister PER-SETH, where he went to school with all the other aristocrats. And look here, there are some personalities here. What I just told you: Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the King of Spain, Juan Carlos, PER-SETH, the Swiss health minister, Alexandre de Marange, very dangerous person, the head of the French CIA. There's Louis de Bonneville, who had a good life, you know. And there's even some Epsteins, you know. This is all aristocracy, you know, Epsteins. Oh, he looks like Jeffrey Epstein, doesn't he now? You know? And here are some more names here. And I wanted to show you this. This is all, you know, to have an idea who the health minister actually, who he really is. So here we go. This is interesting. Villa Saint-Jean. And so I'll show it to you here. And the Villa Saint-Jean, that's the name apparently this school had before. And you know, they just call it Villa Saint-Jean. It's like the house of Saint-Jean, you know, in a way. And you see Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And now it's Collège Sainte-Croix, the Holy Cross College. And here, the history. This is interesting. L'établissement a été fondé. I read it in French, and then I'll translate it to you. L'établissement a été fondé en 1903 pendant le bouleversement anticlérical en France pour offrir un internat scolaire aux enfants de l'élite française. You know, it was founded as a boarding school, an internat, that's a boarding school, aux enfants de l'élite française, for the children of the French elite. But, you know, they're coming there from the whole world, you know, and it's international. It's very international. And here it says, avec un internat éduquant avec rigueur principalement des Français de famille bourgeoise. They have a boarding school, and especially for the children of the French elite and the French aristocracy, bourgeoise. That means aristocracy. Right? And now it says a high school. The villa s'est transformée, le collège est devenu une institution internationale enseignant principalement le programme d'une High School of America. So the villa, La Villa Saint-Jean, it has transformed, and now the college has become an international institution, and they're teaching the program like of a High School of America, but only for the elite. And you can see the elite, they come from Europe, America, the Middle East, Asia, Extrême-Orient, that's Asia. And they get a diploma of an American high school, but of course only for the elite, right? And so for not to make it too difficult for them, you know, it's just they just get a high school diploma. And well, here's some more names: Marc Sabran, Guy Sabran, Gérard Dorval. Well, I'm not going to dive into all of them, otherwise I'll never finish this video. And well, let's go back to the so the Villa Saint-Jean. It belonged to an organization. There we go. Where was it? Can't find it anymore. Here it is. Les Marianistes. Et la Marianiste, here it says here, it means La Société de Marie. It's like the Society of Jesus. It's the Society of Mary. And if I punch on it, I think it's very much related to the Jesuits. But of course, because the Jesuits is Catholic and they have a very high level of education, and Catholic is royalist. And on the other side, we got the Protestants, and that's Templar. So it's Templar versus Jesuits. And as the Templars won the internal war, the Jesuits actually, they have not much more power because the aristocrats lost, and that's why we have a constitutional monarchy. That means the constitution of the Knights Templars. And the monarchy, they have to obey, but they still have their secret little Jesuit schools, and but they don't have as much power as the Knights Templars and everything that goes with it, like the Constitution, the Republic, the Parliament, you name it. I hope you understand it. So we're back at the site here of that school, the Le Collège Sainte-Croix. And here he is again, Alain PER-SETH of the House of Seth. He's the House of the Beast. And maybe he is the beast you're looking for, who knows, Very powerful. And he's amongst aristocrats. He's an aristocrat himself. And so I go quickly through the other names here, just to give you an idea who Mr. PER-SETH is. And he's not a very loved person at the moment in Swaziland. So here it is. I found it for you in English, the Society of Mary, and the Marists, Le Marianistes in French, and in English the Marists. This is their crest. It says Sub Mari Nomine. That means under the name of Mary. Nomine means the name. Mary is Mary. Sub is under. And this is the seal of Solomon. That's where it all comes from, the whole thing. So, and as I thought, and I saw the IHS just before in the other site I showed you, but I don't want to go back there. And it says, the idea of a new Marian body to fill the vacuum left by the suppression of the Society of Jesus. Well, we all know what the Society of Jesus is here. There it is, IHS, the Jesuits. And here it says as well, the suppression of the Jesuits. Well, who suppressed the Jesuits? The Knights Templars, because the Knights Templars is Protestant. So everybody going after the Jesuits, no. They have to listen to what the Republic, by the Knights Templars and the Freemasons, tell them. But of course, there are still the highest elite who are royalists, and I want to go back to the vertical rule. And so they have their private little Jesuit schools. That's all. But they will never manage, because the horizontal rule is far too powerful. They have no possibility, And at the head here, I saw that before, but I forgot. They have a superior general. Is the leader or the head of the Society of Mary. And now you got a guy called John Larson. And so this is just for the elite, and so you think they rule, but they have to obey the Constitution. They have to obey the Freemasons, and Jesuits are not Freemasons. And So this is how it all works, you know. So forget telling, you know, forget about these Jesuits, you know, for God's sake. Yeah, you see, this is one of them, the founder of the marriage. Oh, this is the founder. Saint-Marseillais Champagnat. And what have you got here? You got a crown. Well, that's what I've been just telling you. And the next one, going to that school of the minister PER-SETH, is Jean Epstein, as in Jeffrey Epstein, of the German nobility and the Epstein castle. Stein and Epstein is a very German name. The Stonesies, the stone builders. And it seems that the Epstein family is hanging around a lot with the worldwide nobility. Here in the Swiss elite school for the nobility, as well as Jeffrey Epstein with Prince Andrew, and of course Trump, also related to the high nobility. Epstein must therefore be the jaywalker nobility, also called the Erev Rav in Hebrew. And I'd like you to look at his skull. Look at the skull form. It's very dolichocephalic. Look at the nose and the ear. Well, I tell you, and the jaw, most of all. It's going like this in a straight line, going from his chin to his ear. And that's quite peculiar, because Jeffrey Epstein has exactly the same thing. And also the distance from here, from his chin to his lips, is exactly the same as Jeffrey Epstein. The ears are very similar. The hair here, it's starting, the hairline is exactly at the same place as Jeffrey Epstein. And the whole skull form. So I don't really know how to do this, you know, to make a photo comparison. I don't want to go and wrap my head around it, you know. But I just show you the next picture of Jeffrey Epstein, and you can compare that for yourself. So it would be quite fair to say that this is the same Epstein family. And here it says the family relocated to Switzerland. So Epstein was born in Warsaw to a French jaywalker father and a Polish mother. It doesn't say what the mother was, if she was a jaywalker, nobility, or well, anyway, the nobility is deep in this bloodline. There's no doubt. So here they are, the nobility, cruising for some loose women here. You know, look at their faces. You know, look at their eyes. You know, you can see what they're thinking. Eh? And they're both looking at the same, you know, the same way. But look at the chin here. It's the same chin line as Jean Epstein from the Swiss nobility school. This distance is the same. The skull form is very similar. The hairline, the ears, they're both in the nobility. They, you know, it's the elite, very rich people. And I have no doubt that this is the same bloodline. And the Epsteins all hanging around the nobility and same bloodline people. So the next one in line of this Swiss school, the next famous person, and of course there are thousands or maybe tens of thousands, well, we never hear of, right? So this is also a famous person, Régis de Saint-Jouan, or his full name is Régis Le Saulnier de Saint-Jouan, of an old aristocratic family of Brittany. So another aristocrat. And all of these and many other kings, queens, and pharaonic nobility were taught in this Swiss school for the French-speaking international elite. And here you can see, well, there's a lot of stuff, but this is interesting. You know, all roads lead to Swaziland, I tell you. Here it says that he went to So there's a guy who's living on the other side of Europe, you know, in Brittany, almost in England, and he goes to a Swiss school. You know, isn't there any other school next door? You know, or maybe in Paris? It's quite a big town, isn't it? No, of course they have to go to Switzerland. So here there's again the Villa Saint-Jean and the Marinists. There you go. The Society of Mary. And well, I told you, well, you know, from all the other ones, you know, we'll never hear of. We would never heard of, you know, PER-SETH having been there, you know, if he wouldn't have become the very notorious health minister of Switzerland. I'm sorry it took so much time showing all the aristocratic families in Switzerland, and now all the nobility who went to the same aristocratic Swiss elite school as Mr. PER-SETH. In the army, the line of work I eventually was involved in, this was called screening in the negative profile. Imagine the profile in the proverbial crosshairs being an unknown factor. So you can't make a presentable picture of the profile, of whom sometimes the entire name is unknown, the so-called Mr. X or John Doe. So you have to work on the known factors around the profile to puzzle in the whole image, a little bit like the negative film of your camera obscura, and fill in all the colors around the objective, resulting in a blank space popping out, giving away the profile of the objective. And Mr. X, just as I just did with the PER-SETH health minister. I was very good at it and started picking out my own objectives of some very highly placed persons in society, screening in their negative complementary profiles, which I better hadn't, and I had to run for my life, as they were so-called high profiles, a very high, untouchable profile, that is. Maybe I shouldn't have told you this, but hell, we're in the end times anyway. Who cares anymore? Yeah, it's a great time to be in the end times. I love it. This image here also represents this way of working with Intel, and to screen in the profile by using the Intel around the profile in black, thus slowly leaving a blank space which bit by bit will take form eventually. It's a great honor to participate in the end times game and show the bastards what you're made of. I have known it all my life. I'd be living in these sort of times, and my spirit has been prepared for this over the progress of my life, getting sort of reloaded with what already was inside, thus giving further proof of PER-SETH's aristocratic background of Pharaoh. So anyone who still believes that Switzerland, with their bogus people's referendums and bogus direct democracy by the people, consequently is a big fan of Swiss fairy tales, like believing the William Tell story by the German novel writer Friedrich von Schiller, an aristocrat of the 19th century. And here it says Wilhelm Tell is gelogen in German, which means in English William Tell is a lie. Friedrich von Schiller, a German, wrote this Wilhelm Tell story only 200 years ago about some almost invented fairy tale happening 800 years ago in 1291 when the Knights Templars founded Switzerland. The William Tell story is the Templars' story and their founding of Switzerland in 1291, told by our masters in an understandable people's version for the dumb slaves, without giving too many incriminating details. Just another of their encoded tales for the initiated. A real telltale, so to speak. I mean, in 2091, the dumb peasant slaves couldn't read nor write, so do you really think they still remembered the story 800 years later? Just look at the sheeple today. They don't even remember what happened last year, considering all the historical and political events. William Tell is a story by and for our masters, who wrote it, and go and see the play in some theatre for the upper class elite. Of course, Friedrich von Schiller was an aristocrat, named after Emperor Frederick the Great, whom the Germans called Fritz the Faggot, because he used to rape young soldiers. And he was raised by Karl Eugen, the Duke of Württemberg, next to Swaziland, of course. He married Charlotte von Lengefeld, an aristocratic woman, all with the nobility's von prefix. He was a close friend of Wolfgang von Goethe, another aristocrat, and one of his descendants, the Baron Alexander von Gleichen-Russwurm, died in 1947. And God knows how many of this hidden nobility offspring there are today. And these Swiss peasants believing the whole William Tell story by Pharaoh's nobility. This is Wikipedia, Friedrich Schiller, or Friedrich von Schiller. There you go. It's all aristocracy. And here it says that the boy Schiller came to the attention of Karl Eugen, the Duke of Württemberg. There you can see the Duke of Württemberg. Oh dear. With a red sash of the red house of Pharaoh, the PER-SETH. And he became his protege. I'm again screening in this, eh? Well, there's a lot more, but Schiller married Charlotte von Lengefeld, Charlotte Louise Antoinette von Schiller, Antoinette, like the wife of the French king Louis XVI. And here it says the last living descendant of von Schiller was a grandchild of Emilie, the Baron Alexander von Gleichen-Russwurm. It's all aristocratic descendants, you know. And together with Goethe, well, that is von Goethe, another aristocrat, they founded the Weimar Theater. There it is. Mr. Hitler probably went there as well, you know. and well, they showed the play of William Tell, you know? And I hear Freemasonry. Well, he was a Freemason. I'll show that in a minute. And here he had an affair with an army officer's wife, Charlotte von Kalb, another aristocrat. So the William Tell story is the nobility all over, eh? It's not Swiss people, peasants. Forget it. The William Tell play is a typical Freemasonic story of the killing and complete eradication of the real monarchy. Von Schiller's descendant, the Baron Alexander von Gleichen-Russwurm, said that the nobility brought von Schiller to the Freemason lodge Günther zum stehenden Löwen. A Löwen means a lion. Of course, it all comes from Egypt and from the nobility. So this is what the Freemasons say themselves. And I scroll down. If you want to read it all, you just punch pause. Here. In 1829, a letter between two members of Lodge Günther zum stehenden Löwen lament the dissolving of their lodge since Schiller was initiated in the lodge. According to Schiller's great-grandson, the Baron Wilhelm Heinrich Karl von Gleichen-Russwurm brought Schiller to the lodge. There is no documentation, but you know, it's all you know, it's commonly claimed that Schiller was a Freemason. You know, of course he was. I mean, there's enough indications to that. And also his best friend, Wolfgang von Goethe, with whom he opened the Weimar Theater, where they showed the William Tell play, was a very famous Freemason. Here you see him, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the great German writer. So listen up, Swissy, your whole history and your William Tell, it's 100% Freemasonry who come out of the Knights Templars. I tell you, the whole history of Swaziland is a huge lie by Pharaoh's nobility and fanatically repeated by their useful Swiss peasants. In order to wrap up their base with the finishing touch it needed to fool us all. The devil's biggest trick, as they say. This one here, together with his colleague Mr. PER-SETH, also is one of the actual 7 heads of the beast. And his name is Maurer, from the Swiss People's Party, which is the German word for mason. And a mason he truly is. And organizing the actual Swiss People's Movement, marching around in their uniforms. Just the habitual tortures haven't been added yet to the new Swiss nationalist marching movement. And this is Swaziland today, November 2021. Ordo ab Chaos, order out of chaos, and Freemasons profiting from the crisis, just as the global finance crisis of the 1920s and 1930s. Always the same story. The William Tell story is what we would now call a government psy-op to manipulate the people through a psychological operation. William Tell was written by Friedrich Schiller in the era of the French Revolution, when not really the French people abdicated the monarchy. And miraculously, the William Tell psyop tells the exact same story of not really the Swiss peasants abdicating the Habsburg monarchy. The William Tell play premiered in Paris right after the French Revolution. And in both cases, both France and Swaziland, the Templar Freemason Republicans took over control. Therefore, the apple on the boy's head is red, referring to the red house PER-SETH of Pharaoh that became Europe's monarchy and aristocracy, symbolically shot to pieces by an arrow through the red apple. Tell is not a Swiss name, but an Arab, Hebrew, Oriental word meaning a hill, as in Tel al-Amarna, the capital of Upper Egypt of the PER-SETH New World Order White House of Pharaoh, or Tel, meaning the hill for the protesting Swiss hillbillies. Capital hill of the PER-SETH Pharaoh's White House, with the concept of 3 here and the concept of 4 there, saying square and compass. The character of Wilhelm Tell is merely an insider reference, indicating the ones behind the murder plot, killing the King of France and the entire PER-SETH old monarchy by the PER-SETH New World Order horizontal rule and by their Swiss octagon in the Alps, the base of the Templars and the base of Pharaoh. Pharaoh Akhenaton was merely a revolutionary pharaoh for the horizontal New World Order rule of the White House PER-SETH, and he was not really the heretic pharaoh. Pharaoh's internal wars was a different kind than the one taught by the mainstream. And of course, for those who don't know yet, you must have a look at my other videos about the White House and the Red House. So here in Wikipedia, here is the combined crowns of Pharaoh. This is the Red House, also called the PER-SETH, which is represented in the William Tell story by the apple. These are the original pharaohs and the original monarchy, both in Egypt and in Europe. So red is always represented, the color red is a representation of the monarchy. And then there's white, as in the name Tell, which is not at all a Swiss name. I never heard anybody in Switzerland is called Tell by his surname. And the White House here, it stands for Upper Egypt in the south, which is the also called the White House, as you know, Capitol Hill and next to Capitol Hill. Tell, meaning the hill, and it's called the PER-SETH in Pharaonic. So Tell, the guy shooting the arrow, is a representation of Tel al-Amarna, which they usually call it the hill. You know, the White House. That's why they call it the hill in America. It's all internal language, people. So Tell, represented by the white, he shoots an arrow in the monarchy and the red apple. Of course, the nobility's William Tell story is actually being used a lot now by the fascist Swiss People's Party and the Vrijheidstreigler of the cowbells gang. And this would give the, the impression that the Swiss are child-loving people, with the father here, William Tell, and the boy here and protecting his boy. But let me tell you, they are not at all. On the contrary, the Swiss had children slaves until 1989 who were raped, they were beaten to death, who were starved to death until 1989, people. So for those who want to know more about the story about the Swiss children's slaves, I made a couple of videos about it, but they were on my channel that got deleted, my old Cure channel. But here you can hear it from someone else. So you don't have to hear it from me all the time. Here you can see the Swiss children's slaves here. She was also enslaved. In another thing they had eugenics going on until 1996. The administratief verzorgte. And the father of the worldwide genetics was Dr. Ernst Rudin. He was a Swiss. So go and watch this documentary, Switzerland's Stolen Generation. It's well done. But I warn you, they got the concept of 4 here in their logo of Dateline. I think it's Australian. And the circle in 3D shown from the side, it's of course the compass and the concept of 3. And the whole thing is in a square again. So it does say square and compass, right? And it is in red. Here's the white. And the black, maybe it's supposed to be the blue. Anyway, it's a sort of a sky here. But the video is good. Go and watch it. Especially Australians, because this is waiting for you, eh? The Swiss octagon has become very politically active now, November 2021. And it is in fact Octagon's resurrection of the notorious fascist Swiss cowbells clan. In Swiss German, the Ku Klux Klan. The actual Swiss cowbells clan marching in the streets of Swaziland, and out of which also the origins of the KKK, Ku Klux Klan, lay, which I explained in this video here. Here's the title, KKK, Ku Klux Klan from Switzerland, Racism, the Heart of Nazism and Criminal Banks. Unfortunately, it was on my channel Gure, the old one, which got deleted by YouTube. So the film survived here in Israel on the video platform here. And here you can see the Hebrew letter type. And this is an important video to understand what is going on today in Switzerland with the cowbells clan marching in the streets of Switzerland under this very nationalist banner. And so here you see Ku Klux Klan. The word Ku is the German word for the cow, and Klux, it's it comes out of the German or Swiss German word, die Glocke, the clock, the bells, and a clan is a clan. And they have this, the KKK, the Swiss have in parliament. It stands for their slogan, compromise, consensus, and well, another thing, it makes KKK. This is like the French have liberté, fraternité, égalité. The Swiss, they have the KKK. And I explain it all in my video. So maybe some people like re-upload this video all over YouTube. I think it's still on archive.com as well. So from there you can download it, or maybe from here. Because this is becoming very actual today again, if you look in the streets of Swaziland. And it's nationalist, it's racist, it's... well, there it is. I found it on YouTube. I know this guy, Redat 3. He contacted me like 10 years ago. He was very badly treated in Swaziland, and they also kidnapped his child, I think. You can see this is some Muslim thing. The guy is an Arab, nice guy. So I know it's a lot of people amongst you that have problems like watching a video like on the other platform because it doesn't work. You know, if you don't have a good internet networks, it might be difficult. I don't know, but that's what I heard. So here you can watch it on YouTube. So you better download it and re-upload it before it's entirely gone. And maybe Maria wants to translate it into Spanish. That wouldn't be bad. Gracias, mi hermana. So this marching in the streets is a technique used by the politicians to let the people march, called the catharsis, in order to calm down the agitated slaves and give them false hope. Through old traditions, the peasant slaves can hold on to for a bit more. So the masters of evil can gain more time for their endgame. The catharsis social engineering by the Tavistock Institute works awfully well on the very frustrated Swiss hillbilly cowbells clan. So the Octagon and their Maurer Mason, seventh head of the beast, can literally remote control direct their peasant force on the various battlefields to prepare them for the endgame. It says, Ueli Maurer, the seventh head of the beast, next to Mr. PER-SETH. Here he is, Ueli Maurer. He's one of the seven heads of the Swiss beast. You can buy it here for $22. Go ahead. Like Switzerland leads the way. So go buy their t-shirts of the Ku Klux Cowbells clan and join the charming family. And just watch the flower here. Yeah, here it is. It's called Edelweiss in Swiss German, and in German Edelweiss, and only grows high up in the base of all evil. Now look at it well. Mark it very well in your memory. This one here, Edelweiss. Well, the Nazis also started with this harmless flower, doing the so-called Fackelmarsche, or torch marches in the street, the very same Edelweiss flower. And the very same Fackelmärsche, torch marches, now today in Swaziland. Whom are they gonna burn first? Here, the same cowbells clan, their uniformed t-shirts, their stormtrooper torches, and even the bag as the highly appreciated nationalist markings. That's what I call Swiss precision. Holy moly. You all remember the video I made on the nationalist markings on all supermarket products I once made. And look here at the logo on his jacket. It's the inverted pyramid of death, and in red for the political prisoners of Auschwitz. The guy seems to be a priest with that long ecclesiastical sharp of his to seduce some more peasants into their nationalist religion. The Swiss religion of burning people with their torches, trying to set fire to the world once more. Yes, people, this photo was also taken in Swaziland. Look at the Swiss-German words here. This is somewhere, there's a train behind it or a metro or something. This is the KKK Cowbells clan out of Swaziland in an octagon and a Swiss cross here. Unfortunately, there's no referee giving Swissy the red card, because Swissy is the referee. And here, once more, the priest of the Swiss religion called nationalism with his Auschwitz badge. Here it is, the red inverted Auschwitz pyramid for political prisoners. This is not a coincidence. This harmless looking priest with their harmless little Edelweiss flower and their harmless stormtrooper torches shows the same red Auschwitz triangle on his jacket. Because these Nazi peasants have their own clothing brands, like here Alpha Industries, Ansgar Aryan, Black Legion, Bomberjacke, Boxing Connection Label 23, Constable, Eric & Sons, Fred Perry, FSN, Clothing, Greifvogel Wear, Hermannsland, Kampfhund-Motive, Pitbull, Amstaff, Dobermann, Lonsdale, Master Race Europe, New Balance, One Family, Torsteiner, Troublemaker Germany, White Rex, Yakuza, Yakuza 893, Yakuza Premium Selection, and here Wotan Textile, Resistance, Master Race Europe, Nordland, Thor, Einherjer, I don't know what that is, by Odin. So they can make it the way they want it, you know. If somebody wants a red Auschwitz triangle on a jacket with it on it, they make it, yeah, and they know it amongst each other, but you don't. So they make their own clothing the way they want it to be. Like for the most charming couple of the year here, Adolf and Eva Braun, and 88 saying Heil Hitler, because the H is the 8th letter in the alphabet. Well, they probably got taught by these ones here, who do the very same and use the same identitarian techniques as Nazis do, with their rainbow flags, pink fashion, pink unicorns, pink hyenas, and whatnot. And they even lead the nationalist scene. Just look at the Nazi typography here. Yeah, just look at this Nazi typography. As I've shown you in this video here, and I've given you in this video all the proofs, all these historical big shots like Martin Luther, the aristocratic inventor of Protestantism, they all belong to Pharaoh's nobility. Otherwise, you just won't get there. Eh, Mr. PER-SETH? Eh, Swissy?